Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Alberto Corona. I am an Italian anthroposopher and astrologer, and in this video we will talk about the new moon in Cancer on July 17th, which is the first new moon of summer. Now, as always, you can see here an image that will accompany us throughout all summer, a painting of the Archangel Uriel, a very important figure because in anthroposophy, Uriel is the archangel ruling the summer season. Now let's take a look at the chart of this new moon in Cancer, because some changes have taken place in the sky in the last weeks. Now, first of all, we have Mars here, which entered Virgo on July 10th, followed on July 11th by Mercury entering Leo. And on July 12th, we had the lunar nodes changing axis because the lunar nodes entered the Aries-Libra axis, at least the mean nodes. The true nodes are going to enter this axis during the new moon. So officially, this new moon is the new moon that is basically making this shift happening. So we have this change, very important change that is concerning the eclipses, because we know that this year, half of the eclipses, the lunar eclipses, are taking place on the Taurus-Scorpio axis, whereas the solar eclipses are taking place in this new axis, the Aries-Libra axis, and this is because the lunar nodes are moving, they are always moving in a retrograde motion. Venus, on the other hand, is slowing down more and more. In fact, it will stop on July 23rd, reaching the first station before turning retrograde. Now, Venus retrograde in Leo is a very important process that is going to accompany us for all summer. So I recommend you to watch my video on Venus retrograde in Leo, because it is a very complex process. Now, this is a new moon, so what's the meaning of the new moon? The new moon represents the beginning of the process of manifestation. So we have these etheric forces gradually approaching the Earth sphere. As the waxing moon turns slowly in the full moon, you can feel this wave, this tide of this manifestation process taking place. And this movement is a sort of inhalation of the etheric forces. Now the Earth is inhaling these forces that are going to gradually bring into manifestation all that is to be accomplished in the physical world. And for this reason, the new moon can be seen as a sort of cosmic seed, meaning that this is a good time to sow and to get things started. And this is also the first new moon of summer. And this means that we can begin to see manifesting our projects, our impulses that we have in store for the summer. And this process of manifestation will reach its culmination, its peak, with the full moon in Aquarius on August 1st. So let's take a look at the chart. We have the syzygy here happening at 24:56 Cancer, and it is taking place in conjunction with the star Pollux, which is the head of the Immortal Twin. Now, as you can see here, in fact, the syzygy is taking place in the starry image of the twins, Gemini, holding their hands here. And this is the Immortal Twin, and right above the head of the Immortal Twin, the star Pollux, is taking place this conjunction, the syzygy, right? Now, on top of that, this is a new moon in Cancer, meaning that this is the only new moon ruled by the moon itself. And this is going to make lunar forces extremely powerful, as we're going to see. And overall, the shape of the chart, so if you remember, we had a cradle going on in the previous syzygy, and this cradle has now opened up. So something is about to be born here. As you can see, the cradle has opened and something is flowing out of it, right? Now, another important element of this chart is that the CGZ is featuring aspects with all three the generational planets. So as you can see here, we have a sextile with Uranus in Taurus going on. We have a trine with Neptune in Pisces, and we have an opposition with Pluto, being Pluto turned back to Capricorn, right? And this is very interesting because this means that this is going to affect the soul of the world, also called the collective unconscious, deeply, especially because the way that I consider these three planets are as the three members of the soul of the world. So we have the collective thinking, the collective feeling, and the collective willing of the collective unconscious, represented by Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. So we're going to see how this unfolds in the chart. Now, the general meaning of this chart on a physical level is brought by the conjunction with Pollux, which is a warrior star. It is a star of the nature of Mars. In fact, Pollux was, in the myth, he was a boxer. And this gives strength to this new beginning represented by the new moon. So we have this warrior impulse kicking in, right? However, it is still a new moon in Cancer, which is happening in the in the water element, which is about emotions. And we know that Cancer is very concerned with protection, right? And this is why this CGZ can bring strong emotions that can be channeled and used for a defensive rather than an offensive purpose. Because this warrior is a guardian rather than a raider, right? So we can use this energy to protect ourselves more. Now, it is also very important to channel these emotions towards the practical realizations suggested by the new moon. And in this sense, we have the sextile that the CGZ is making with Uranus in Taurus down here, right? Because Uranus in Taurus can be quite useful to help us to bring about change in the earth element, and sometimes even in a sudden way, right? So not only practical goals, but also starting new things that are going to protect us more. Now, on a soul level, it is also a time of great creativity, especially if these projects are not quite clear yet. And in this regard, the trine with Neptune invites us to try, right? To experiment, to confront new situations, also to let things go with the flow, not trying to control the outcome, but rather to surrender to it. And this is the typical way Cancer starts things. Now, as you know, Cancer is a cardinal sign, meaning that it starts new things. And there's always a passive component in it. And what's that? So basically, Cancer gives birth to projects that take on their own life. And we need to let them go and to do their thing. So we start these new things, channeling our emotions, also to, as we saw, to protect ourselves, right? But then we just let go. We let them do what they're supposed to be doing, and we go with the flow. Now, the most spiritual element of the chart is definitely given by the star Pollux, the head of the Immortal Twin, and by the image of the twins, right? Now, this constellation in astrosophy is connected to the awakening of the forces of the I, not the ego, but the I, so our immortal self, our immortal nature. And this is brought about by Gemini by confronting the forces of darkness. So we have two twins. One of them is immortal and the other one is mortal. One of them represents our immortal self and the other our shadow, our mortal self. And this struggle is what is going to manifest as we awakening by confronting this shadow. We can find that in the chart because it is well represented by the opposition with Pluto, which has, as we know, returned to Capricorn. Now, these forces of darkness represented by Pluto can be understood as a lack of consciousness. They're not necessarily evil, they can be, as usually happens when we don't put much awareness in what we're doing. So what they're going to do basically in Capricorn is that they're going to make us feel unsafe, right? They are forces of a sort of cold authority, so to speak. And it can be a boss, it can be anything really that we're going to feel as threatening. And so by confronting them, we can awake ourselves to a higher level of awareness. Now, we also find another indication of this in the chart because Mars in Virgo is in an applying opposition to Saturn in Pisces here, as you can see. This opposition is going to perfect on July 20th, by the way. So this means that the practical realization of our goals, represented by Mars in Virgo, requires us to wake up, to realize what our illusions are. Now, we discussed a lot about Saturn in Pisces. You can watch my video about it because Saturn in Pisces is all about waking up to our illusions, right? And Saturn in Pisces also requires us to discipline our emotions, so it can be tough, right? But in this sense, the trine of the Syzygy with Neptune can be quite useful because it helps. It helps a lot to change the route on the fly, adapting to new situations, new circumstances. Now, summing it up, this Syzygy is all about embracing the new, experimenting, trying, adapting with a great spirit of change, right? Going with the flow, but at the same time, taking advantage of the resistance that we're going to find on our way to awake to a higher level of awareness, a higher level of consciousness, ideally to our immortal part, our I, which struggles for self-knowledge. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell not to miss out on future astrological insights. I am Roberto Corona. See you in the next video.